Hey, how are you? My name's Nolan, and you can call me Cat. Cat as in pussycat, meow meow. And it will be my very great pleasure to be your facilitator, guide, visiting professor for design thinking for business in the Executive MBA. For most of you, this will in fact be the very beginning of your Executive MBA journey, and I'm really excited to be able to share that with you. So I will be flying to Vietnam shortly, and we'll be spending 4 fantastic days together. Get ready for some really challenging, exciting, but good fun. Some opportunities to learn some different methodologies and new approaches to identifying, really deeply diving into and solving some business problems. And so what I wanted to do right now is just give you a tiny little introduction to me and to this subject, design thinking for business. So basically a little bit about myself to start off with. Sorry, I hope you can see the slides behind me, at least briefly. Basically, I'm a lawyer, which might not at first blush seem like the most likely candidate to be teaching you this subject. I've spent more than 30 years now working in largely high-tech areas. So I started off in large international law firms, spent a lot of time traveling in Asia and working initially on big infrastructure deals. But over time, my work managed to sort of converge into my interests, which are technology and problem solving, dare I say it. I spent the last 15 years or so working largely in-house, and on 2 distinct occasions working very deeply in companies that I am the co-founder of. I and my business partners have taken 2 companies to an ASX listing now, both in the financial technologies area. So I've worked in very, very large law firms. I've worked in an investment bank. I've worked for some of the world's biggest companies as a legal advisor. And I have also worked in a very, very tiny scale as a startup founder, where I've done everything from negotiating the contracts through to changing the toilet paper in the bathroom. So my business experience is very, very varied, and I learnt through the startup experience more than anything a great deal about design thinking. When I started doing design thinking, I didn't know about the concept of design thinking. At that stage, I wasn't aware of the literature. I wasn't aware of the many, many different aspects of design thinking. And frankly, I wish I'd known more than I did. I've made a lot of mistakes along the way, but like any design thinker, I've learned from those mistakes. So we'll get to know each other quite well over the 4 days, I hope. That'll be a really good opportunity for me to meet you. I'm going to apologise in advance if I can't pronounce your names. I'm certainly going to try. So I'm hoping that between now and the beginning of the course that you all take a moment or two to go into the Canvas shell, have a look around, and go into the discussion board area where you can introduce yourselves. Use that as an opportunity to have a practice using some of the skills that you're going to need to navigate the technology that goes with being a student these days. Upload a picture of yourself, upload a picture of somebody important to you, your kids, your partner, your boss, your dog. I don't mind. Tell us a little bit about yourself, because we need to connect as humans in order to really do a good job with design thinking. So, navigating the course. One of the first things that you need to do is get into the Canvas shell and have a really good look around. It's going to be really important that you can find things. Let me give you a couple of tips to start off with. The Canvas shell is filled with really useful notes, videos, audio, links to audio recordings, a range of different materials that will help you get the deep dive. Many of you won't feel super comfortable with working with this material online. One of the things that you can do is go into the settings area for your own profile and create an EPUB of the course materials that you can print out. Now, of course, because we have a lot of video and we have a number of audio recordings, it's only going to get you so far. But for many of you who like to handwrite notes and scribble on pieces of paper, it'll get you started. I would really encourage you, particularly as this is the beginning of your career as a student, to really have a go at finding the best way for you to navigate the course online. There's a few things that you can do to get started with that. For example, start by going to the modules area. The modules is really just a big table of contents. Modules are groups of like subject matters. So what we've got is one module for your introduction, which it's really important that you work through. That module will be the same in every course that you do, so work through it at least once. Whether it's for this course or another one, it's going to help you understand how to work as a student. The next module in this subject is the introductory module, and it contains the bare minimum that you need to work through if you're going to turn up on day one well prepared. Then there is a module for each day of the course. The topic notes that sit under that module for each day include the things that we're going to focus on. Now, 4 full days sounds like a lot, but they're going to be really active, busy days. So we will not be going through those materials line by line. You guys are grown-ups and so am I. So I'm going to work on the basis that you have read the materials and that you've interacted with some of the materials as you go. That's fair to you. And it's also fair to your colleagues. Sorry, that funny little noise over there is my dog who happens to be in the room. Must be having a bad dream. Anyway, so read through those materials. There is external reading as well. Most of the links I've been able to give you link directly into the materials that are available online in the RMIT library. That's a fabulous resource for you. Of course, you may also want to get some individual books, and I've given you the references so that if you're able to get hold of those, you can find the individual books. But everything that you need should be available online. As you do the assignment tasks, you'll be expected to really do some research in the library as well. So the orientation that you had before the course started should have got you started with working with the library. If you missed that, or if when it comes to doing it in practice, you suddenly forget everything that they told you, don't worry about that. Happens to us all. Library staff are fabulous and they will be able to help you, I have no doubt. So make sure that you navigate your way through. Next thing, the textbook. So this is a copy of the textbook. It's also available for you online. You'll find that even though it might seem outrageous for me to say, please read a whole textbook before you start, actually this textbook is pretty straightforward and easy to read. You'll find that you skim a lot of it. There are a hell of a lot of pictures in here as well. And you'll find it's really accessible, really easy to read, and will give you a great overview. Now, you might not understand everything that you're reading straight away. Hey, that's a good thing. If it was so easy that all you had to do was read the textbook and move on, then why would you be wasting your money and time coming to the course? You will need to go back afterwards and consolidate what you've learned in the course. In the course and in the intensive, we will challenge some of the things that we read in the textbooks. We'll draw on a whole lot of other things as well. But if you do the reading before you start, then we will have common language with which to work. Assessment in this course is the next important thing that we're going to need to talk about. There are 3 groups of assessment tasks. And it can be a little bit confusing to work through these assessment tasks. What's important to understand is that there are some individual tasks, there are some group presentation tasks, some of which you'll be marked on based on your individual work, and some of which you'll get marks based on how your group that you'll be put into when we start the subject performs. And then the last one is a project that will need to be done by the group as a whole. Overall, and this slide behind me is color coded to show you how this works, but overall 55% of your mark will be determined by individual contributions you make, and 45% of it will come from your group contributions. Now there seem to be quite a lot of tasks. It might look a little bit overwhelming. Again, don't worry about this. Most of the tasks that you need to do, you will need to do either in the lead up to the work. There is a task that's worth 10% of your overall mark that you need to front up with on day one. But the only task, everything else will be done during the 4-day intensive except for the group report and your individual long essay. The group report will be due 2 weeks later, and the individual essay 4 weeks after the course is complete. So even though there are a lot of little tasks, a number of those tasks are tasks that will be done while we're together in the room together. And I will be working very hard to give you feedback on the assessment task very, very quickly. And of course, you'll be working with a group of peers who will also share feedback with you. It is really important to make sure that you understand the tasks. If you have a look at this slide, and a copy of the slides will always be made available to you, there's a little GIF in there that basically shows you how it is that you can navigate to find the tasks and to read the instructions. There are really only 2 things that are incredibly important that you understand at this stage. Number 1, you need to read the instructions for the task, particularly this first task, really, really carefully. There's a lot of information there because you're starting from scratch. So you need to read the task very carefully and understand exactly what it's asking you to do. Secondly, with every task that you have, there will be a rubric. The rubric will basically set out what it is that you'll be assessed on and what a good version of this task will look like, what it'll take to get a high distinction, and what a pass version looks like, and everything in between. So it is always worthwhile looking at that rubric. Think of it, if you will, as your KPIs. So that's all I want to talk to you about right now. I'm going to put another recording like this together to give you an overview of what it is that you need to do for the first assignment. That should be available at least a week before we join together, but probably a lot closer than that. In the meantime, don't forget to stick your head into the discussion board area and introduce yourself, share a picture of yourself and somebody or something that you care about, and tell us what it is that you're looking forward to and what it is that's terrifying you about this course. I will also put together a WhatsApp group. So once I've got at least one person's contact details to add to that, I will be sharing with you a link so you can join a WhatsApp group and that's often because I will be in Australia most of the time that we're working together. That's often the best, quickest, easiest way to contact me and to share questions with the rest of the group. But if you have questions for me, share them in that discussion group, get them onto the WhatsApp link, or just send me an email. Let's start a conversation. No time like the present to start working together. Looking forward to seeing you in person soon. Cheers.